Anthony, let's warm up our brains by doing our alphabet strip.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z.
Excellent job. How many letters are in the alphabet?
26.
26. What two types of letters are there?
Vowel and consonant.
Vowels and consonants, good. So today we're going to talk about doing some things with the dictionary, okay? So the dictionary is, where we find words. So there are a thing called guide words on the dictionary. So if we look at the top, we will see that there are two words at the top of the page. And then what this tells us is a guide for what words are going to be on the page, okay? So the guide is going to be at the top, and then each of these words are called an entry, okay? So I want to show you something. I've got 3 words. You know what? I'm just going to use these for my magnets. So I've got this word here. That came in handy, huh? So you can see that all of these words start with the same initial letter. What's that initial letter?
H.
H, right? So the entry word is going to be this word. And what this word is it fits within the page of the 2 guide words. So we have H-A-R-M, and we know M is here. And then we have H-A-R-P, so M is before P. And then we have H-A-R-V. So M-P-V, you can see that P falls in the middle. So it's going to be the entry that goes with the guide words. So we can also look at them horizontal if we think about the top of the page of the dictionary as well, okay? So guide words are the first and the last word on the top and the bottom of the page. So this word here, late, is the first one on this page, and laurel is the last one on that page. And then any of the entries are the ones that go in the word, it'd be the word you're looking up in the dictionary, okay? Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about today is verbs, okay? So tell me what you know about a verb.
It's an action.
It's an action word. So one thing that I want us to do today, and I've never really thought about it like this before, but there are different types of verbs for different types of actions, okay? So think about like this. If I have a physical action, that's something that my body's actually going to do, right? So that's what you think of like running, jumping, hitting, fielding, batting, whatever, all the baseball words. But there can also be action words that are not physical, but are mental. So like a brain activity.
Like thinking?
Yeah. So if I am thinking about something, is that still a verb?
Yes.
Yeah. So what I've got is I've got some words. I've got physical and I've got brain. Move that out of the way, okay? And I've got a whole bunch of words, and we're going to categorize where they go. Is this a physical activity or is this a brain activity? I have a sneaking suspicion that there might be some that are both, but let's see what we figure out. Okay, so read me the word and tell me where you think it goes.
Steal. That would be a physical. Spit.
Mm-hmm.
Physical. Give. Physical.
Mm-hmm.
Sing. Physical.
Maybe I should have mixed them up.
Sweep. Physical. Think is a brain.
Mm-hmm.
Speak is a physical. Pay, physical. Shake is physical. Tell is physical. Run is physical. Fight is physical. Catch, physical. Bite, physical. Dream would be a brain.
Mm-hmm.
Is that bend?
Mm-hmm.
That would be a physical action. No, that would be a brain action. Forget. I think that's a brain action. Wish. I think that's both.
What can you do with your body if you wish?
You can pray.
Maybe. So like the act of like actually like, I wish this would happen, like the physical. So maybe put that one kind of in the middle if it's the way to go.
Build. That's a physical.
Mm-hmm.
Forgive. That would be a. I think that would be both because you're forgiving in real life
Mm-hmm.
and you're kind of doing it in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Laugh would be physical.
Yeah. So some of them I do agree with you. I think could go both. I think laugh maybe could even go in the brain too, because sometimes you laugh, but like just on the inside,
Yeah.
because you don't want people to know like what you're laughing about, or it's not appropriate for you to laugh out loud if somebody like falls down. You're like, well, that was really funny, but I can't laugh because that'd be rude. So yeah, so there's different types of action words. You can have words that are physical, and these are the ones that we kind of think of, you know, of like normal verbs. But then there can also be brain-based activity, and those are also verbs because you are doing something. It's just not with your whole self. So just for curiosity's sake, I'm gonna look them up in the book to see which one it said for the one that we were like kind of curious about. So on
Wish.
wish, I don't see it on here. Oh, here it is. So they said that one was brain. Think was brain.
Forgive was the other one.
Forgive brain, yeah. But you know, I do agree that there is some physicalness to brain, to forgiving, because you might hug somebody, you might shake their hand, you might,
Might say it out loud.
So absolutely. Very cool. Let's put those back in our order here. They don't really have to go, just pick them back up. Very nice, awesome. Okay, so, tell me again, what is a verb?
It's an action.
Actually, what can you add to the end of the word to change the form of it? Like if it was past tense or present tense?
What is it called?
What's that?
Suffix.
Yeah, suffix, very good. So if we were gonna change, wish to something that you're doing right now.
Oh,
Wishing, or if it happened in the past,
Wish.
wished, or if you're going to do it tomorrow, you will wish. Yeah. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is a book, and this book is called Verde. Do you know what verde means in Spanish?
It looks like snake.
It actually means green. Verde means green. So we're going to take a look at this book. Snake, which is a very good guess because obviously it is a snake on the cover. The thing that I like most about this book is the pictures. The illustrations are just incredible. Have you ever heard of the book Stella Luna? It's about a bat. So this is the same author as that. Her name is Janelle Cannon. There are some different characters in the story that we'll learn about. But also, there is some vocabulary that I wanted to go over with you. So, the vocabulary words, the first one that we're going to look at is plummeting. You know what plummeting means?
I know what plumbing is.
Okay, so a little bit different. If something was plummeting, that means that it was falling straight to the ground. So,
Like an apple falls from a tree?
yeah, plummets to the ground. Or like if your parachute didn't open, you'd be plummeting. That'd be a very scary way to go. Bottom feeder.
I've heard that a million times.
So basically it's just what it sounds like. So it's a fish that instead of eating on the surface, it eats on the bottom. So like there might be algae or like different like crustaceans or whatever that fish would eat that's on the bottom of the river or the ocean or whatever instead of at the top.
But how did they like relate that to a person?
Well, sometimes it is like a derogatory term for somebody like, oh, he's such a bottom feeder. Like instead of going for like the right thing to do, he just maybe like cheats and takes something off the bottom. So sometimes it's not a very nice term. It would be something that you were like criticizing someone for doing. But in this instance, it may literally be a fish that feeds on the bottom. We'll have to find out in the book. Molt.
That's like rotten or something.
Okay, so mold with a D would be like the
Rotten.
stuff like, yeah, if you leave an orange in the fridge too long and it turns green and stuff. Molt means to shed their skin.
Oh.
So a snake is going to
Molt.
to get rid of that skin. Can you think of anything else that molts besides a snake?
Maybe a lobster.
Yeah, absolutely. Crustaceans. This one is chorused.
I don't know.
Okay, so you know what a chorus is?
No.
Do you know what a choir is?
Yes.
Okay, a choir and a chorus are the same thing. And then if we add an ED to it, it makes it a verb. So it's when people are all together and they say something at one time. So like, have you ever had a situation...
Like a battle cry kind of?
Yes, exactly. I was thinking like a baseball game when everyone's yelling like,
A cheer.
you know, yeah. We want a pitcher, not a belly itcher, you know, whatever. They chorused together.
Or like like remember the Alamo or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Chided.
Chided. Cheated?
Not really. So if I chided you, then that means that I fussed at you. I scolded you. Anthony, I am so angry that you forgot your backpack at home or whatever the situation. Chide is like to get in trouble. Okay, so this one, I want you to think about what's wrong with this word, okay? So it's old, dawdled. This is a W. Should that be a W there? No, because it's in the initial, it's in the medial position, right?
Yeah.
Aw should be a...
It actually does kind of look like a W, but...
It is a W.
It looks like a U.
Well, it should be a W. It's D-A-W-D-L-E-D, excuse me. Okay, sorry about that. It was another dyslexia therapist, and they all get out of school at 2:40, but since we start late, we're not done yet. Okay, so dawdled, D-A-W-D-L-E-D, means that you were wasting time, you were not doing what you're supposed to be doing. He dawdled all morning long, and then we were late for school. My son is a dawdler. Do, 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 do. Like, let's go! Hatchling.
It means like a baby or something.
It just came out of a
Shell.
egg, yeah, or shell. Okay, so all of those words are in this story, and we are going to take a look. You don't get teachers to read to you much anymore now that...
No, not really.
Yep.
But only if it's like a big book like Wonder or Wrinkle in Time.
I don't know if I can read totally upside down. Okay, so here we go. On a small tropical island, the sun rose high above the steamy jungle. A mother python was sending her hatchlings, vocabulary, out into the forest the way all mother pythons do. Grow up big and green as the tree's leaves, she called to her little yellow babies as they happily scattered among the trees. But Verde dawdled. So did he go right out into the forest like he was supposed to? No. He was proudly eyeing his bright yellow skin. He especially liked the bold stripes that zigzagged down his back. Why the hurry to grow up big and green, he wondered. Maybe some of the older snakes in the jungle could tell him. Verde ventured into the treetops to look for them. So that's totally different. The mom just says, okay, have a good life, grow up, be good. Umbles, Aggie, and Ribbon were lazing on some branches nearby. Verde peered at their droopy green bodies. It's not polite to stare, chided Addie. So she's fussing at him, right? Chided. Umbles burped and groaned. It's taken nearly 4 weeks for that last lizard to digest. I surely do like lizards, but lizards don't like me. Why don't lizards like you? Asked Verde. Don't interrupt, Umbles grumbled. Oh, dear me, whined Aggie. If I don't shed soon, this itchy skin will drive me bananas. Verde tapped a tune with his tail as he waited to speak. Stop that, Verde. It makes me nervous, Ribbon complained. Besides, you'll never grow up properly green, always interrupting and constantly fidgeting. Verde couldn't imagine being in such a hurry to be like them. And he was really wanting to keep his sporty stripes. Hoping to find snakes that weren't so boring, Verde slipped away. Dozer was snoring in a tree not far from the others. Hello, said Verde. Do you want to climb trees with me? I'm tired, Dozer growled. Go do a few laps around the jungle, okay? Verde's heart sank. Greens were not only lazy and boring, they were rude. At the top of a very tall tree, Verde gripped one branch with his tail and another with his little snake jaws. I will never be lazy or boring or green, he thought. I will jump and climb and keep moving so fast that I will stay yellow and striped forever. Then Verde let go. What do you think is going to happen?
Is it a fall?
He looks pretty happy. From a distance, the greens watched. Oh my, they chorused. So does that mean they said it all together, right? Oh my, they chorused, means they said it all together. Ribbon shook his head. At this rate, he'll be lucky to make it to his first molt. Aggie nodded. He's likely to put out an eye on a branch. Umbles moaned. He may not live to turn green. But one day, Verde's skin began to peel, revealing a pale green stripe stretching along his whole body. Cack! He gasped. How can this be? I'm the speediest snake in the jungle and I'm still turning green. He raced down to the river, grabbing up a mouthful of rough leaves. How do you think he did that?
Cover.
Verde flung himself into the water. If I can't run this green off, I'm going to scrub it off, he thought. So he's using the leaves like a scrub brush.
That's not gonna work.
Not gonna work. His frantic splashing caught the eye of a large bottom feeder cruising the murky depths. Yum, the old fish hummed. Lunch. Before the fish could haul Verde under, the frightened snake bit him on the nose. Ah, puh! With a blast of his rubbery lips, the great fish sneezed, sending Verde into the air. Slapping onto the soggy shore, that's hard to say, Verde skidded out of reach. What kind of fish does that look like?
Catfish.
Yeah. Whew! That was close, he sputtered. Every inch of his body was covered with wet, gloppy mud. Kind of lumpy. Kind of brown. Sure beats being green. He left the mud on. But the soft brown muck dried into a hard gray shell, and Verde could barely move. If he even budged, the stuff cracked off into jagged chunks. As each piece fell away, Verde could see that his body was even greener than before. This is terrible, cried Verde. He pictured himself hanging around in droopy loops, itching and complaining and worrying all day like the old greens. He looked up into the sky where the sun blazed a beautiful yellow, the color he used to be. Then he pulled a vine to the top of the tree. Launching himself from the treetop, Verde startled a flock of colorful birds. He became dizzy with delight. Sure, the bright sun and his lofty speed would turn him golden again. In his joy, Verde forgot he would fall back to earth. Whippity, whappity, whip, whap, wham! Plummeting through the trees, Verde landed in a crooked sprawl against a log on the forest floor. He couldn't move. Help! He croaked. As usual, the greens had been watching Verde's antics. They moved quickly to where he lay. Didn't we say it would come to this? Umbles said, shaking his head. Aggie sighed. Lucky thing, he's still got 2 good eyes. They gently lifted Verde up to a safer place where they could watch over him while he healed. Neatly splinted to a branch, Verde had no choice but to listen to the greens as they gabbed. Remember how I used to streak across the forest floor? Ribbon asked. Oh, quick as lightning, answered Aggie. I climbed giant trees like they were nothing. They grew taller then, you know. The things I dared to run down and swallow, Umbles bragged. Wild boar were no match for me. Verde was astonished. You used to run and climb and hunt and, You used to run and climb and hunt giant pigs? What happened? Ribbon crashed just like you, Aggie replied. I took a terrible fall and almost put out an eye. Then Umbles here nearly choked to death. Now, we all prefer the quiet life. A warm perch, a little sunshine, an occasional good meal. The greens rambled on about their days of glory, and Verde settled in on his branch. Finally, one afternoon, Umbles said, You look like you're ready to go again. He carefully untied Verde from the branch. You're welcome to come with us, said Aggie. Ribbon agreed. The three greens slipped quietly back into the forest. Verde wasn't ready to join them. He wasn't sure where he wanted to go, so he just stretched and stayed put till the sun went down, and he listened to the forest come alive. Time passed. The sun and the moon took turns in the sky. Verde marveled as the full moon grew thinner every night. Then he watched patiently as it slowly grew round again. He wondered why he hadn't noticed that before. Verde was so green that he blended perfectly with the leaves. He was so still that the other creatures walked right by without even seeing him. One fine morning, as Verde basked in the sunshine, two small yellow snakes approached. They tapped and fidgeted as they stared. Get a load of that old green guy, one of them whispered. Do you think he ever moves? The other snickered. I seriously doubt it. They're just like I used to be, thought Verde, and now I'm what I was afraid to be. He looked at his big green body and slowly smiled. Would you like to climb trees with me, he asked. With you? The yellows were astounded. I'll even show you my fancy figure eight, Verde replied, though he was a little worried about putting his eye out. With practice, the three snakes performed a perfect triple figure eight. Leaping and looping with his little striped friends, Verde laughed. I may be big and very green, but I'm still me. So here's some notes about snakes. There are about 25,000 species of snakes, from tiny thread snakes just 4 inches long to giant reticulated pythons that grow nearly 33 feet. Snake populations are native to all parts of the world except for Ireland, New Zealand, and the polar regions. Iceland, New Zealand, and the polar regions. A snake's skin is dry, not slimy as many people believe. Their scales are tough. There's lots more information about them. So, that is very, aren't the illustrations just beautiful?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So what we're going to do is we are going to figure out, oh, lordy, there's all the stuff. We're going to figure out the main parts of the story by filling out this little map thing, okay? So, if you want to grab a dry erase marker, we can write out the dry erase. Because it's all laminated. So the title, up there.
Is that an R at the end?
It's an I. The way it's written is a little fancy. So just thinking about this for a second, looking at this word, we know it's not an English word because if it was, it wouldn't end
With an I.
with an I, right? So Verde is
And the author.
Spanish. Yep. Janelle. So who are the characters? You may want to look at a more pointy marker, 'cause that one is kind of,
Yeah.
see. I might use this one. Who are the main characters?
It was Verde.
Verde. Mm-hmm.
Verde. What about the mother and the greens?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, let's write that.
Well, the mother wasn't really.
She was probably one of what you would call a minor character. So let's do Verde and then the three greens.
Oh yeah, it's right there. Verde.
Okay, and let's look up their names. We've got these three right here. Umbles, Aggie, and Ribbon. When I saw Aggie, it made me think of Wonder with Augie
Oh.
and Ribbon. Where does the story take place?
Oh, okay. We're going this way. Okay. In the jungle.
Yeah.
How do you spell that again?
So let's figure it out.
It would be J U
N,
N
mm-hmm. And then
L E.
GLE. When?
It was mostly at daytime mostly.
So if you think about, I think, so yes, the daytime, but think about the span of time. So how long do you think it took for him to be the little yellow to the big green snake? How long do you think it took him to grow?
About 25 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Think it was that long?
Yeah, probably. I don't know, maybe.
I don't know a lot about
I'm just
snakes.
guessing.
Maybe like a year, half a year.
I don't know.
Cause I'm gonna imagine the snakes don't grow faster than like human babies would, you know.
Yeah.
So maybe a year.
I don't know.
Okay. Just think about so what I think what it's wanting you to understand is that like it started at one time and then there was like time that passed, you know, over like a lapse, I guess you'd call it. So what is the problem?
The problem is that he doesn't want to be a green snake.
Yeah.
Is it DOES?
Mm-hmm. Why does he not want to be a green snake?
Because they're like lazy.
Yeah. He says, what does he say? He doesn't want to be. Greens were not only lazy and boring, they were rude. So he doesn't want to be lazy and boring and rude.
Because they were lazy.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So the final question is, how was the problem solved?
He was still himself when he was green.
Yeah.
That's not it. Is it S-E?
O. Mm-hmm. Good. So, let's compare and contrast. If we compared Verde when he was young to when he was old, what were the things that were different? If we contrast the young snake to the old snake.
His color.
His color, he changed colors.
But I'm thinking of this in my head, but I don't know how to word it. Like he was like more adventurous.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the beginning.
So he wanted to go and explore and see all the things, and then when he was older, it was all right just to lay and relax and get some sun and just be there, right? So if it was talking about, remember how it said like that he saw the moon get smaller and then he saw it get bigger again. How long was he laying in that tree? How long does it take the moon to cycle?
A year.
So like each month you'll have a full
Yeah.
moon and a new moon, right? So like a couple months he's just hanging out in the tree, not really doing much. What were the things that were the same about him?
He was still interactive.
Yeah.
And stuff like playful.
Like social and yeah, playful. He still wanted to do the tricks. Did you like this picture at the end when he's doing the
that was pretty cool.
yeah, the figure eights with the newbies? A perfect triple figure eight. So even though he had grown up, he still had his same personality. So do you think that that's true with kids to adults?
No.
So like when you grow up, do you think you're still gonna be like the same, kind of like, you're not like a funny guy, but like you have a good sense of humor and you like to make people laugh and you like to, no, you think you're gonna get serious? Think about how your dad is.
Yeah, he makes you laugh.
Yeah, so what I've learned in my old age is that even though you grow up and you might not I might not go like turn cartwheels in my front yard, because that's not, I'd probably hurt something and it's not really appropriate for a old lady to do that. But like, even though, you're bigger and you have more responsibilities and stuff, your insides are the same, no matter what your outsides look like. So my body's certainly bigger and my hair's grayer, but
yeah, like my dad doesn't play sports like he did.
yeah. But he coaches though, right? So he's still
Yes, he
involved in
coaches.
it. So he never lost the love of it. He just lost the athletic. Yeah.
Playing with it.
So what do you think would happen if the younger snakes continued to like talk to Verde and stuff? Do you think he would get old and grumpy like the other ones and like tell him to like quit it, or do you think that he would still continue to?
Probably continue to talk.
Yeah, he'd probably keep it up. I want you to see. Let's see. Where is that page? On
Which page?
what do you think if Verde was watching himself, like if he was the like silly snake here, what would he say about himself? Like what would he say about his younger self?
I don't know.
You don't know? Do you think that he would be like, oh he's gonna die, he's not gonna make it, or do you think he'd be like, cool man, get with it,
Probably cool.
Yeah, I think so too. If he was watching himself, I think he would do that too. So let's look at the vocabulary again and see if it makes sense the way that it was used in the book. So we had plummeting. So that was when he what?
When he was dropping down. Oh yeah.
Yeah, he plummeted to the ground, right? It was plummeting. Bottom feeder. Who was a bottom feeder?
The fish.
Yeah, so it was literally a bottom feeder that was trying to eat him when he landed in the water. Molt.
That was when they were like the skin is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and actually it says it on this page. It says he'll be lucky if he makes it to his first molt. So the first time he sheds his skin, they're saying he'll die before he even sheds his skin. Chorused. These guys said together.
Yeah,
Chided.
that was used.
When they were like picking on him, right? They were like kind of fussing at him, like,
Yeah.
stop that. Dawdled. That was the very beginning when his mom told him to go. And let's see here. Somewhere on this page. Found it. There you go. Awesome. So he didn't want to go. He just kind of hung around. Hey, Mom, like, where are you going? I'll just wait around a little bit. His brothers and sisters probably just off into the...
Yeah.
See them? They're kind of like shadows. That's cool the way the illustrator did that. And then hatchlings.
Yeah, that
Again.
was on this page too.
The babies, the hatchlings. Very cool. So, Verde, the moral of the story or the main idea, the summary, whatever you would want to say.
Always be yourself.
Yeah, always be yourself. He doesn't want to grow slow and boring, so he just keeps his own personality. And it doesn't matter if your outsides change, your insides are still going to be the same, right? I like that book. I think the pictures are really cool. And I'm not really a snake lover, but I think that the pictures are really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you can actually, like,
That is.
see the
That's
bursting
really cool.
and stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah. Very good. So that is a narrative story. Do you think it's fiction or nonfiction?
Probably. If it's probably fiction if snakes
Yeah.
are talking.
So that part of it was fiction. At the end, I read a little bit to you about it, and this part in the back is nonfiction, and this actually gives you true facts about snakes.
But
So-
right here, that actually could be true. A snake could probably actually, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
A snake could maybe do that.
But the talking part, you're right. Snakes.
Yeah.
Snakes don't usually, and they don't usually have like their own. Well, I guess a pet would have a name, but they usually don't have names in the wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, very cool. Thank you, sir.